My name is Blake and welcome to the bar. On this channel, I make cocktails inspired by Magic the Gathering cards, and today we're making a cocktail inspired by the card Ancient Copper Dragon. I've got something pretty cool prepared for you, so come take a look. So the Ancient Copper Dragon was released in June of 2022 as the headliner card for Commander Legend Baldur's Gate. It's a really cool card. It's a 6-mana dragon with flying, and it reads, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, roll a 20-sided dice and create that many treasure tokens. Of course, treasures just add mana to your mana pool. So super thematic, right? Big red dragon protecting its nest of gold. And I've come up with a pretty cool trick to show you as well. So if we go ahead and take these treasure tokens along with the Ancient Copper Dragon, you can see that we have 1 gold here, we've got a 2nd gold, we've got the Ancient Copper Dragon itself, and one final piece of treasure. Now, if I snap my fingers, you'll notice that one of the treasure tokens actually turns face down, just like that. If I go ahead and snap my fingers again, you'll actually see that a 2nd treasure token turns face down. So we've got 1 treasure face up, the Ancient Copper Dragon face up, and 2 treasures face down. Now, of course, this treasure is face up, but if we slide it in and snap our fingers, just like that, you'll see that that treasure also turns face down. And now, last but not least, we have the Ancient Copper Dragon face up, and we snap our fingers, just like that, the Ancient Copper Dragon turns face down. But of course, today we are making a cocktail based on the Ancient Copper Dragon. So when I give these cards a spin, just like that, and a little snap, you'll see that the Ancient Copper Dragon actually turns face up again. But those who are familiar with the set may remember that the Ancient Copper Dragon wasn't the only ancient dragon that they printed in the set. They actually made 1 for each color. So you're gonna get 5 cocktails for the price of 1 today, because we're also gonna be making a cocktail for the Ancient Gold Dragon, the Ancient Silver Dragon, the Ancient Brass Dragon, and the Ancient Bronze Dragon. With that in mind, I'm really excited to share this with you. So make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment any other ideas for videos down below, and let's go make some magic at the bar. So I know in past videos I've done deep dives into different cocktail making techniques, and I'm very proud of those videos and I hope you check them out. But today I want to take a step back and just talk about, at its core, at its baseline, what is a cocktail and how we can lean on history to make riffs on modern classics. So back in the early 1800s, a cocktail was just meant to be a base spirit plus something sweet plus something bitter plus water. Probably the first cocktail that comes to mind in this family is an old fashioned, right? 2 ounces of bourbon or 2.5 ounces of bourbon, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, a few dashes of Angostura bitters, some orange zest, and you stir it down on ice and serve it. After that, people found that you could lengthen these drinks and add a bit more complexity to them by adding a fortified wine. So we can take that base recipe and make a Manhattan with 2 ounces of whiskey, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, bar spoon of syrup, a couple dashes of Angostura bitters, and again, stir it on ice and serve. With this concept, we can open ourselves up to making so many different cocktails. You don't have to just use whiskey, right? You can use tequila, rum, cognac. When it comes to adding a bit of complexity to your drink, you don't have to just use sweet vermouth. You can use any fortified wine. You can use an herbal liqueur. You can use an amaro or an aperitif. But all of these are going to bring more complexity into your cocktails. With the simple syrups, the world is your oyster here. You can use, classic simple syrups or a demerara syrup or a brown sugar syrup. You could also introduce other flavors and make And I'll show you how to make a hibiscus syrup and a lavender syrup today. You can, we'll even make a basil simple syrup. But all of these are ways to sweeten up the cocktail and impart a little bit more flavor. And last but not least, with the bittering element, Angostura is one of my favorites. It's always going to be a classic. Peychaud's is a great bitter from Louisiana. I've made my own homemade black walnut bitters, but honestly, go to your local liquor store, your grocery store. They quite often will have a section with a bunch of different bitters. I love going through and picking out ones that I think might be fun in a cocktail. So the idea here is, right, I'll give you 5 recipes of things that I've tested and I know I like, but I highly recommend at home, go through your liquor cabinet, or when you're at the grocery store or at the liquor store, pick out a bottle that you think might be fun and test it out using this format to see what works. You can always adjust the ratios or the recipes to fit your personal taste preference, but I'm gonna show you what I've come up with today. We're also gonna present these cocktails in kind of a fun way. I've got a couple of cool garnishes that I've made up where we can make dragons out of citrus peels. And on top of that, I have purchased some ice molds that make these D20 ice cubes, and they just play super well with the ancient dragons that we're basing these cocktails on. So with that in mind, let's go make the drinks.
First up, we have the white card, Ancient Gold Dragon, which will require us to make a lavender syrup. For this, combine 10 grams of loose leaf lavender to 150 grams of sugar and 100 grams of water. Bring it up to a simmer on the stove, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then strain through a fine mesh strainer. Finally, to assemble the drink, combine 2 ounces of London dry gin, 1 ounce of Lillet Blanc, a bar spoon of lavender syrup, and 2 dashes of lemon bitters. Stir with ice, strain into a rocks glass, and garnish with lemon. I'll show you how to make the citrus dragons at the end of the recipes. For the blue card, Ancient Silver Dragon, we first have to prepare a hibiscus syrup. Combine 13 grams of loose leaf hibiscus with 150 grams of sugar and 100 grams of water. Bring that to a simmer and let sit for 10 minutes before straining through a fine mesh strainer. Add a splash of lemon juice while bottling. As a note while editing, I've tweaked this recipe slightly since filming, so I'll be sharing my preferred recipe here even if the B-roll doesn't completely match. Also, we are using tequila, and quality really matters here since we're not hiding behind any citrus juice. I would say you can purchase anything that says 100% blue agave, but turns out a lot of distillers have been lying on their packaging, so my recommendation, go to the link in the description here. You'll see a link to Luis Fernandez's recommendations on good tequilas, or my personal recommendation is Siete Leguas. It's one of my favorites. Back to the video. Add 2 1/4 ounces of Blanco tequila, half an ounce of Pierre Ferrand dry curacao, a 1/4 ounce of blue curacao, 1 bar spoon of hibiscus syrup, and 2 dashes of cardamom bitters. Stir this over ice, straining to a rocks glass, and garnish with some blueberries and blackberries. As for the red card, Ancient Copper Dragon, no ingredients need to be prepared ahead of time. To a mixing glass, add 2 ounces of Del Maguey Vita Mezcal, 1 ounce of Cochi Rosa, a bar spoon of agave nectar, and 2 dashes of mole bitters. Stir over ice, strain into a rocks glass, garnish with an orange peel. For the black card, Ancient Brass Dragon, you just need to make sure you have a brown sugar, semi-rich simple syrup prepared, which is 1.5 to 1 ratio of brown sugar to water. Editing note again, my black walnut bitters are homemade, but for the purposes of this video, Fee Brothers makes an awesome black walnut bitters. Let me know if you would like a video on how to make homemade bitters down the road. Blackstrap rum is made from blackstrap molasses, so it's less funky than, let's say, a Jamaican rum, and instead it's very sweet and leans into coffee and burnt sugar tasting notes. To assemble, combine 2 ounces of blackstrap rum, 3/4 ounce of Ramazzotti Amaro, 1 bar spoon of brown sugar syrup, and 2 dashes of black walnut bitters. Stir over ice, strain into a rocks glass, and garnish with a star anise. Finally, for the green card, Ancient Bronze Dragon, we'll need to make a cucumber-infused vodka and a basil syrup. For the cucumber vodka, just slice half a cucumber into coins, place it into a mason jar, cover with vodka, and let infuse in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours. For the basil syrup, blanch some basil in boiling water and then immediately remove it and shock the basil in ice water. This will keep the color bright green and prevent the syrup from turning brown. Then, make a simple syrup with 150 grams of sugar to 150 grams of water. Then, blend the basil and simple syrup together with 1 gram of xanthan gum to help emulsify the syrup and prevent separation. Then, to assemble the cocktail, in a mixing glass, add 2 ounces of our cucumber vodka, 1 ounce of green chartreuse, a large bar spoon of our basil syrup, and 1 dash of celery bitters. Stir over ice, strain into a rocks glass. We'll garnish this drink with a lime peel. All of these cocktails should be served over a large piece of ice. I found this D20 ice mold that is super thematic, and so that's the ice that I will be putting into each of these drinks. Finally, if you are interested in learning how to make dragons out of citrus peels, you can just watch here and replicate this process with lemons, limes, orange, or grapefruit peels.
Now that we have all these put together, let's give each of them a taste, and I'll kind of give you a preliminary ranking as to which one I think is the best. But definitely try all these and use this format to inspire any other cocktails that you might come up with. So the first one up, let's do the Ancient Gold Dragon Old Fashioned. Yeah. I think if you like a gin martini or like a Vesper martini, which traditionally uses, I think, Cucci Americano, this is right in the same alley. It's super bright, super floral. I really like that lavender syrup though. It adds a little bit of sweetness. I'm usually not a big martini fan, but I do think that this holds up in that sense. So, and now let's try the Ancient Silver Dragon Old Fashioned. That to the side. It's good. Definitely sweeter than the Gold Dragon. So if you like sweeter drinks, you can try this. Probably because we're using blue curacao, which is a liqueur, rather than, you know, the rest of these are either amaros or fortified wines. So this definitely is going to be a bit sweeter. The hibiscus syrup is probably my favorite part of it though. What I might recommend is, if you don't really care about the color, I would use like Pierre Ferrand dry curacao. I think it's a little bit drier than the blue curacao, but will still offer that like orange backbone. I would say between these two, this one is still my favorite. So I think I'll leave this one here, leave that one there. And now let's try the Ancient Copper Dragon, the strongest of the dragons. So cheers. Oh, yeah, well, these are both gonna slide down because this Ancient Copper Dragon, at least so far, takes the cake. It's a lot more complex than the other two. That smokiness from the mezcal pairs really well with that Cochi Rosa and the Mole bitters. Super, super decadent drink. Yeah. So there's that. Next up, we have the Ancient Brass Dragon, and I wanted to torch the star anise, but it lost balance on top of the ice cube, so we'll just leave it as is. There's the Ancient Brass Dragon. Wow. I almost get like root beer notes from that. It is, the blackstrap rum is obviously a sweeter rum than, you know, you normally use. But overall still really tasty. You get like molasses notes, that brown sugar comes through a bit. It is probably on the sweeter end of what I would normally like. So I would put this one either, I think it might edge out the Gold Dragon. So we'll put that one here. This is much more of like a dessert cocktail. You know, it's not overly sweet, but you're definitely getting like almost rhubarb notes, root beer notes, vanilla notes. They all come through really strong, where a lot of these are a bit brighter. Okay, last one is the Ancient Bronze Dragon Old Fashioned. This one definitely takes the cake on the color, I think. I love how that green came through. Oh wow. The first thing you get on the nose is the celery bitters. It comes through strong. Yeah. Yeah, so you get celery bitters on the nose, like that, almost like a celery salt. Very, you almost, when you taste it, you expect it to be, have some salinity, some saltiness to it. But then as soon as it hits your tongue, it's that basil and it's basil and cucumber that comes through. I was hoping the green chartreuse would come in a bit stronger. Yeah, definitely on kind of like the back of your tongue, you start to get those alpine spices. It's definitely good. I think this is the final order here. So I think this is the order of my favorites, starting with the ancient Copper Dragon Old Fashioned, followed by the brass, followed by the gold, followed by the bronze, and followed by the silver. All of them are good, all of them are worth trying, but more than anything, point of making this is just use this format, right? 2 ounces of base spirit, 3/4 ounce of a fortified wine, a liqueur or an amaro, bar spoon of a syrup, and 2 dashes of bitters. You can test away to your heart's content, right? Try this with any bottles that you have. With all of these, the base spirit is gonna come through much stronger than it would in like a sour style cocktail. So make sure you're using high quality alcohols because you can't hide behind sugar or fruits or sour, lemon or lime. You really wanna make sure that you have the best quality ingredients for these. So with that in mind, I'm gonna take this one back to my office while I edit this video. And until next time, I hope you make some magic at the bar. Oh, that one is the best one, by a long shot. Do you want to try any of them?
I don't know.
Next up, the ancient Silver Dragon Old Fashioned. Put this to the side.
Searching for that dragon content. Found something called Fire Drake, the silver dragon that might be what you're looking for.
Alexa, shut the fuck up.